Hallo und willkommen. Heute sind wir in dem deutschen Flugzeugträger, die Manfred von Richthofen. She's still a work in progress and thus subject to change. If you don't know the ship, then she is the new Tier 10 German aircraft carrier. She is much like the other one. She has AP rockets, torpedoes that don't deal that much damage, and very effective AP bombs. If you wish to see more of this, then yesterday I put out another video of this ship. So I start out with my torpedoes, because they are really fast. I mean, they go up to 230 knots with speed boost, and go at over 180 knots normally. So the plan is that, because there's only one destroyer, well actually the destroyer don't matter that much, but the plan is to try to find the cruiser early on, dodge some flak and do one drop. And all I really want from this is to hit one torpedo. You'll also notice that I dropped a I dropped a fighter squadron over there. Basically, the point of the start attack like this is to simply spot the enemy. I want to simply see where they are so that my team can plan appropriately for them. And this fighter will keep them spotted. I mean, after all, it's usually not very likely that the enemy CV will go and strike our destroyers anyway, and hey, there's only one destroyer this time. So the follow-up plan for me is that I launch my rocket planes, and I wanted to go after the Worcester that I struck with the torpedoes. However, because the Worcester went next to a lot of battleships, etc., I think I want to find a new target. I know there's a Minotaur on the enemy team, so I'll try to find it somewhere. Or maybe I can find something else. And hey, I found the Minotaur, so let's go after her. These AP rockets can settle the Minotaur fairly easily if you land them in the right place. Let's see. Come on. Oof. 21k. I don't think I've ever done anything like that. Yeah, I've never done this much damage. Damn. That actually might be a bit too much. I don't really like the idea of CVs being able to strike cruisers for that kind of damage in one strike. In fact, I have actually had I had an Amalfi in a game earlier that I actually two-shot. I attacked her once, then I attacked her again, and she was gone. I think that might be too much, but then again, you can angle against this. A cruiser can absolutely turn in enough that either most rockets simply won't get into the Citadel, or maybe none of them will. It depends on, how the angles end up working out. But this guy didn't react at all, so let's go try again. There's a Smolensk, another ship that should be fairly easy to Citadel with these rockets. Come on. Okay, 8k. This is much more, this is more acceptable to me. 8k with rocket planes, it's still a lot of damage for a ship like that, but considering that she didn't really react, I would say that that's acceptable. So, I launch rocket planes again. So the reason I launched this many is because I want to get to 30 rocket plane hits, torpedo hits, or dive bomber hits, because I'm using Günther Lütjens, that is the special German captain, and when he hits 30 hits of these, I think it's combined, you will get faster plane regeneration. Basically, you get your planes back faster. And so I tried to hit this as early as possible. I mean, it's been less than 4 minutes, and we're probably gonna hit it right now. We can survive the strike. Come on. Let's dodge some flak. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Wow, 16k on a Worcester. That is surprising. Usually I don't deal anywhere near as much damage to a Worcester. That's because a Worcester Citadel tends to be much smaller than what you usually expect. And I didn't actually sink her, somebody else did. Regardless though, we're at quite a lot of damage, and now we have the ability active, which means that our planes regenerate faster. So I'm much more willing to use things like dive bombers now because, hey, I can get them back faster, so it's not much of a loss if I lose all of them. Now, I did make a mistake here. I forgot to dump my torpedo bombers here. So I only have so I had all of them there. There's a potential that they could all be shot down, which didn't happen, but it's possible, right? So Yamato is fairly isolated. I'll try to go and do another strike on her. This time with dive bombers that can Citadel Yamato. So hopefully we can deal a lot of damage. Sadly, there isn't really enough distance between us to dump planes twice. I could only do it once. Also, Yamato is still flooding, by the way. And that's my flooding that I caused. Okay, let's go. Ooh, this looks pretty good in that Yamato probably isn't able to dodge. But I have to pull back immediately after that. Oh, no Citadel hits. Anyway, I had to pull back immediately because if I kept going, I would run into the anti-air of Thunderer and Goliath together, which probably is not ideal. Okay, I got my rockets up. Next up, I'm gonna try striking a Goliath. See, Goliath's armor tends to be... When people think of the Goliath, they usually think of it as easy citadels. And I want to see if the Richthofen can also citadel her. Because this is fairly important to know, and I don't really... I have no idea. I've tried striking a few drakes before, unsuccessfully. I haven't been able to citadel them, but maybe I simply didn't hit the right spot, or maybe I did the drop wrong, or who knows, right? So let's try it again on the Goliath. I'm gonna start moving my CV ahead a little bit. By the way, that's something I like doing. I like moving my CV ahead a bit. Something you have to... You probably should do on this. Also, I completely messed up that flak dodge. That's something you should do. You should probably move your CV up a bit. Also, I was unable to actually citadel the Goliath. I did get a lot of penetrations, and they did penetrate the torpedo protection belt, but no citadel hits. Surprising though. But anyway, you want to move your CV up a bit, especially the Richthofen, because she basically has like a battleship hull, which means that she is very unlikely to be citadeled. It's not going to be like a Hakuria or Montana that might be just blapped away by a big, strong battleship from across the map. It's very unlikely to happen in the ship. Now we're going to go after the Thunderer. The reason I flew over to where I was to give my Harugumo a float fighter, or a fighter plane, so that she is less likely to be struck by the CV again. Because having a destroyer tends to be quite useful. Let's line up the drop. I tried to hit roughly in the front or middle-ish part of the Thunderer, but you never... Let's be honest, I don't have a great feel for these bombers yet, so it tends to be more hit or miss in my case. Sometimes it works out, other times it just doesn't at all. Let's go again. One thing that bothers me quite a bit when doing drops with a CV is that when one of your planes gets shot down, as you're doing the bomber drop, the drop circle jumps a little bit. You just saw that for a moment, right? It jumps a little bit to the side and then your bombs drop into basically a different position. I find it quite frustrating, but hey, nothing really I can do about. So, I'm gonna use these rocket planes on the Yoshino, but I'm gonna fly over to my Haruguma to give her a fighter plane again. Hopefully I can citadel a Yoshino, because it appeared that I can't citadel a Goliath, but Yoshino should be fine. She's basically all alone here, so it should be a fairly easy drop. I could also go after the Smolensk though, but I think that's gonna be kind of difficult because the Smolensk is quite far from the enemy, and I don't know if anybody's even gonna try to take a shot on her, so she could just dodge however she wishes. Come on, citadel. Well, I didn't citadel her, but if we're honest, my drop was slightly too high, so maybe I simply missed the citadel in this situation. That's actually something to consider in these planes, or with these rocket planes. They're not the easiest to land citadels with. The lower tier ones tend to be easier, not because the planes are easier to manage, although I guess technically they are since the planes fly slower, you know. It might be easier to land them in this sense, but it's mostly easier because the citadels on lower tier ships, in my opinion at least, are bigger. At least they are taller, so it's much easier to actually land rockets on it. Whereas at the higher tiers, many ships have very low sitting citadels, so it ends up being difficult. Here I just launched rocket plane or torpedo bombers, mostly because I still had them and I just wanted to go find a better target. And Yamato is fine over here. I'm gonna try to go the other way. Oh, wow, that Minotaur just got deleted. I was thinking that I should launch rocket planes to try and hit that Minotaur again, but I guess we're not gonna be doing that soon. Anyway, let's use some dive bombers. Thunderer is mostly alone, but then again I could also use them on the Montana or maybe the Yamato. I would like to be able to do multiple strikes though, and the Thunderer is kind of far away. In the sense that the Thunderer is far away from any kind of real fighting, whereas this Montana is actively in a fight. Yamato would actually be the ideal target in this situation, however, there's a midway behind her, which means that I'm probably only going to be able to do one attack. The other thing is that I don't think the Yamato is able to engage anyone from where she is. Maybe she can engage the Kremlin, I suppose. Still though, I think this Montana is a more active participant in combat right now. Come on. Citadels, please. Well, we got one of them. Which I guess is more than nothing. Let's do another one. And the midway is getting closer to Yamato, which makes the strike even harder now. I don't think I can do a third. I shouldn't have enough HP on the plane, so I'm gonna pull back immediately. Ooh, 3 citadels this time. Nice. Anyway, the next target is... I think I might strike the Yamato again, or the Montana. Or maybe... No, actually Yoshino or... Yeah, Yoshino might even be better at this point. Or even the Thunderer, but I do want to give a fighter plane to the Haruguma again. Not because I'm afraid that the CV is gonna strike her with torpedo bombers this time, but she's probably gonna come back with rocket planes. Or could at least come back with rocket planes. And this gives some... Never mind, Haruguma's dead. I suppose it'll cover the Thunderer in that case. Yoshino is getting separated from the Smolensk. It was a long-range drop and the Yoshino had already started turning in, so I don't expect much from it. But hey, we still had 2 of them, and now we're gonna turn around and go again. By the way, one thing to note that I didn't mention in yesterday's video is that the torpedoes on this ship are very fast. They're 55 knots. I mean, sure, it doesn't seem like a lot compared to ship-launched torps, but for CV torps, these are really fast torpedoes. Which means that dodging them... You can always dodge them as you would normal ship-launched torpedoes, right? But the difference is that these can actually catch up to destroyers and whatnot, so people underestimate them quite often. I feel like I'm being shot at. I mean, I took some damage, but I might even be shot at more later on. I tell my team to be somewhat apprehensive, because while we do appear to be winning quite hard, we're not actually winning that hard. Sure, the game ends in 4 minutes in our favor, but they have 3 battleships, we have only 1. So it's entirely possible for them to be able to outfight us. I'm gonna go after the Thunderer because she is gonna be a nuisance behind us, and she is completely alone, she isn't gonna get any cover here. So I should be able to deal a lot of damage and hopefully somebody else can then finish her off. Say Goliath or Moskva or Za or anything like that. This isn't like a Conqueror, so she isn't gonna super heal the fire damage back from the Zaos, etc., right? This is gonna be a not nice drop. I don't like doing these drops where I aim while doing the drop itself. They feel weird and don't work very well for me. Well, we still got Citadel hit. I'd like to go again, but I don't have enough dive bombers right now. So instead I'm gonna go after... I don't actually know. Yamato maybe? Or maybe even just Thunderer to finish her off? I'm surprised by the amount of HP the Yamato has though. I really... like, she already had that much HP a lot earlier. I thought she was gonna be much lower at this point. I probably should go strike someone else. I mean, we're still at 800 points there at 500. Game ends in 2 minutes, so it's not that big of a deal, right? But still. This isn't like... because of the midway, this is not a good place to be. Like, I can't multi-strike that Yamato over and over. So, I'm gonna launch rocket planes again and see if maybe we can hit the Smolensk, or I suppose the Goliath, whichever seemed like an appropriate target at the time. Slow them down from taking one of our caps. Maybe. 2 minutes to go. I don't want to fly into the anti-air of a Smolensk. Or, sorry, Goliath to strike a Smolensk and... oh god, she's using smoke. Yeah, I don't think I can strike the Smolensk in that case, because I would have to guess where she is in the smoke. Sometimes it works, but I'm definitely not gonna deal a lot of damage with it. So I'm gonna go strike the Goliath instead. Sure, I don't deal the most damage with these, but it's still gonna deal like 6, 7, 8k, right? It's damage, it adds up. 1 minute 30 seconds to go until our victory. 5 points. All we need to do is just not go crazy. Come on. Nope. Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do a follow-up, I think. I'll still try. Well, I wanted to try, but then I figured, nah, not gonna work. Dive bombers this time. Let's see if we can maybe dissuade the Goliath or even the Thundera from being where she is. Hindenburg went down. That's not great, because this delayed our game quite a bit, and they just locked the C cap, and the Smolensk is gonna lock the B cap soon. Which means that we're not gonna gain any points, so the game is gonna come down to when the game ends. 3 minutes 20 seconds. Still have a fighter, so I'm gonna drop it here. Yeah, it doesn't cover the Thundera, but I would have to fly quite far out of my way to actually strike, to give the fighter to the Thundera. I should be able to citadel a Goliath with these, so if we can find her in a good spot, we might go after her. Or maybe the Thundera herself. I do need to move the CV away. Yeah, let's avoid the Goliath right now, because Goliath isn't being shot at by anyone else. Which means that she's gonna be able to freely maneuver, and... sure, strikes on cruisers can be very effective. But that's only if the cruiser doesn't maneuver. If the cruiser maneuvers, it's entirely possible to do no damage at all. Or, like, maybe not like no damage, but very little. It's much better to do a few citadels on a Thundera than to just do a few overpens on a cruiser, right? Hopefully somebody will be able to finish this Thundera though. Come on, we just need 3 citadels from this and she should be gone. Please RNGesus, let's go. Come on. Wow. One of the bombs actually entirely missed and the others were just penetrations. And now I don't have enough dive bombers to actually go and strike the Thundera. This is bad news, because we were winning quite hard. Now there's only 2 minutes to go and they have all the caps. And they're only 30 points behind. We threw this quite hard, didn't we? Just our ship started dying and we didn't have the cap zones to pick up on it. I can't believe that Yamato is still alive. In fact, I can't believe what my team is even shooting at, because how can she still be alive? I was thinking of going after the Smolensk, but it seems she's way too far behind the island, so I'm gonna go strike the Yamato. Maybe we can at least finish her off and try something. Because if Yamato is gone, she won't be able to crossfire anymore. Okay, it's 8k. She only has 2k HP, so somebody else can do it. And now I'm going to use dive bombers to go after the Thundera or Goliath. Whichever I can get to fastest at this point. Because we absolutely need ships to go down. We need the points. Oh god, the Thundera is low, the Goliath is low. I'd really like to go after the Thundera, but I don't have the time at the moment. And here you can see exactly what I meant earlier, right? She's clearly dodging, and this only meant I hit one of the bombs. And I got kinda lucky that it was a citadel, but it could have easily just been not a citadel at all. That Yamato is still alive. I cannot believe this. This is very bad for us. And yeah, it's GG, we've lost. Come on, we can at least deal with the Goliath. Nope, missed entirely. And here you saw the exact example why I went after the Thunder earlier. Sometimes you just don't hit anything at all. And sadly, we actually lost this game. I can't believe that we lost this. We were so far ahead at one point, and then we just kinda started going down while the enemy didn't, and that was it. Still, I did 284k damage. I'm gonna compliment that Yamato for surviving that long. That pretty much won them the game. The Thunderer too, though. The fact that she kited back, remember, that's the Thunderer from the start of the game on the side of the map with the other Yamato that pushed, right? The one we struck multiple times. But it appears that nobody else did enough damage to her. She got quite close to dying a few times. But it wasn't quite enough. Very unfortunate, but hey, the battle was fun. 22 Citadel hits. I don't think I've had that much in anything but maybe in Atlanta or something along those lines. 100 and almost 30k damage with the dive bombers. 56k with the torps. 72k with the rockets. Yeah, 62k on the Thunderer. Sadly, it was not enough. And hey, I even tanked 38k damage this game. Okay? So I even did that part, but sadly, yeah, it just wasn't enough. Still, I find her fun to play. The MVR is very fun, especially because you don't have to go after DDs. And hey, my karma decreased by 2. I wonder who it was. Maybe they thought I just wasn't good enough, I suppose. I still use the same commander skills as last time: air supremacy, improved engine, survivability expert, site stabilization, then aircraft armor. Then I went for concealment expert and improved engine boost, and then last gasp. Upgrades wise, it's still also the same. The stuff I had in the last video as well. Yeah, I find the ship to be fun. Maybe the rockets are actually too strong. For cruisers that don't try to dodge, they seem to be incredibly effective. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would like to thank the patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I hope I'll see you guys next time.